much stuff floating around. I don't know. People trying to say they wasn't together.
Basically was trying to get into a threesome.
But let's talk about two people we've never talked about yet. You know who Isaiah Washington is?
Absolutely. That's my baby daddy.
All right, y'all. Good night. Good. Have a good morning. Goodbye.
Before we go, let me fix my rap because she just wants to be extra. And I'm mad because she's so pretty. I have her so pretty.
Wait, time out. Did you hear what you just said?
Yes,
that's my baby daddy. I'm like,
yeah, that's my baby daddy.
Okay, wait. Okay, what I'm about to say about Isaiah, that may change your mind. So be prepared. All right, so Isaiah Washington. Actor.
I'm good, Manny.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank y'all.
Yeah, because you was. Yeah, that keeps coming off.
It was getting hot, so that's why I had to unravel. So it was participating.
Anywho, back to Isaiah Washington. Okay, so Isaiah Washington is an actor, and he was famous for his role in the TV drama Grey's Anatomy.
Right.
Along with Romeo Must Die, along with a lot of other various movies that, we've probably seen one time or another. So, Isaiah Washington, unfortunately, was canceled and still somewhat canceled to this day. And here's why. Okay, so back in 2006, there was a rumor that came out that Isaiah Washington called one of his was referring to one of his co-stars a gay slur. Now, I'm not going to say what that slur is because I'm trying to keep this podcast on the air.
Yes, please.
And apparently, it outed him, right? So no one in the public knew that he was gay until this came out. Then apparently, he issued an apology. Now this came back. Hold on, let me finish the story though.
Okay.
This came back up again in 2007 during, I think it was the Emmys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Emmys. And they were, doing their backstage press after they won. And apparently, Isaiah Washington got on the mic, said, I did not call him, and you can pretty much figure out what the rest he said. So they jumped his ass for saying that, and they took him off air. Now, they were supposed to bring him back for the next season, but ABC said no. We're not. No, we're not bringing that type of heat over here because of our audience. And ABC had a mind to just never mind them. So apparently Isaiah Washington apologized, but it wasn't enough. And to this day, you see him in a lot of B movies. You don't see him on television. You don't see him on the big screen. You see him in a direct to DVD, or if they don't have DVDs no more. Direct to like.
He said DVDs. What's that? The new kids don't know what DVDs are. They know what DVR is. They know.
But those who are under the age of 18, we used to look at movies with these little bitty discs called digital video discs, also known as DVDs. And if you don't know, ask your parents.
That is funny.
Yes, that is. That's so weird, but hey, welcome to 2021. But anyway,
that's how technology is. Technology advanced so much. We have transition, but talking about technology, just piggyback off of you. With the time, with technology, time change, and then we also know too, in the entertainment world, things change too. And just like I said in the first part 1 of Cancel Culture Revisit, that people get to pick and choose who they want to cancel. Now, like you said, I was going to piggyback off you and just tell you that, this incident happened back in 2007, and here we are now in 2021. And like you said, he was at one time, he was the man, and now he's in these B-list movie. And this, let me say something to you.
And let me also bring this factoid to it, because I didn't know this until I read up on it. He was deemed, I want to say GQ or Time Magazine, the sexiest man alive.
Right, that's why I said that was my
2006.
Let me tell you something. I like a
zaddy. Say that again.
I like a zaddy. Okay, these young boys, I don't know about these young boys. I need a zaddy in my life. But anywho, like I was saying, people get to pick and choose who they want to cancel, because at one point he was high in his career. So what I was trying to say was that see, you never know what's going to happen. See how, sometimes, you get to that next movie and you get bigger advances and, your paycheck is bigger. This is why it is very imperative for you to take your money and to invest it correctly and wisely, because you never know at any given moment if you say or you even do the slightest things that you can get canceled just like that. And then it's like, well, where your next paycheck is coming from. And this is why, I'm saying, a lot of people have to also think about too, in the cancel world, sometimes some of these people, they go broke, right? And then sometimes they had their money set up right, just like Ivan Iverson. Everybody's like, he broke, but guess what? He had a contract. He had the right contract. He had to wait a certain time, and he get those residual income. So I'm just saying, I had to stop and say that to say, one, residual income is very important. 2, set your contract up right. 3, stop. Just because you make six figures does not mean you have to live in a mansion, okay? Because it makes no sense that people are taking all these money and blowing on these major expenses. And it doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or not. Like, if like I just said, you can say something wrong, and you want to still make sure that you want to be set up correctly. And that's what a lot of people don't realize it. And I'm not going to shift, but there are some people who's not hurting, like, financially, because of, the people that they have in their life. Maybe they got the significant other and, things like that. However, to get back out there, to get the people to trust you again, that takes work, and also take too the right source.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, with Isaiah, unfortunately, they did an interview with him. I'm assuming it's like a few years ago, and he even acknowledged at that point that's when his acting career was basically over with. He said his career was dead at that moment, and he even acknowledged that. Now, what is Isaiah Washington doing now? I'm glad you asked, Lady K. Isaiah Washington is a avid supporter of the political whore known as Donald Trump. And on top of that, do your Googles.
Mercy.
Yeah, you want to.
Is Google accurate?
Listen. All I know is Homeboy did an interview with Newsmax. I didn't care to look at it. He pledged his allegiance with 45, unfortunately. And then on top of that, it's like, how can I say it? He knows he's not going to get that one big role anymore. Right. So it's like, what do I got to lose in this situation? Not saying that's his MO. I mean, according to him, he don't support any party, as he's saying. But I don't know. Not getting into that. But all I know is, and all I can tell you is that Isaiah Washington at one point was here,
the man,
and now he's nowhere existing. Because I remember something my dad told me a long time ago, and I still remember. It can take you 10 years to reach the top. It can take you 10 minutes to reach the bottom.
Exactly, and this is why I have to say, and this is for anybody that's out there, being the inspiring entrepreneur, whoever you are, this is why you have to constantly remain humble, because as we're striving to get to the place and, driving to get to the place that we want to be, things are going to happen, you know what I'm saying? But you have to also be smart and wise about certain things. And I know sometimes we're human, and that's another thing too that I really have to talk about. It's really hard to try to make the right moves in front of the whole world because everyone is looking at you. However, this is why as you get to certain places and you start advances, it goes back to investing your money wisely. This is why you have to hire the right people on your team, especially a PR, because they're going to tell you what to say, what not to say, what move to make, what move not to make. But again, it is really hard, especially for someone that grew up in the industry and the whole world got to watch you. And it's like, you can't even fart. Because if you do, they'll be like, your fart stink. And it's like, for real, I'm human too. You know what I'm saying? That's right. The hard part. So in somewhat degree, I have empathy for these people because they can't even do nothing wrong because we put them on this pedestal like, oh my gosh, but you're this. But just because I'm that, that's the entertainment world, but that's not who I am behind the scenes. And sometimes, like, the person that they portray as, like, and this is kind of funny, right? It's kind of interesting. It's like the oxymoron. So the person that they portray in front of the screen that can be that quote unquote bad guy, sometimes behind us, like the real them, they're the opposite. Like, they're so sweet,
Yeah.
And then that person that they portrayed as, they're so sweet and innocent. Those are the ones you gotta keep an eye on for. I'm just
oh, hell yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah. I agree 100%, but let's shift off the entertainment business. Let's talk about sports.
Okay, your favorite.
Yeah. So let's talk about this one individual, and a lot of people who do watch sports, especially in the early 2000s, know who this cat is, Michael Vick.
Right.
Now, even if you're not a sports fan like you, and I'm pointing at you, AK, you know who Michael Vick is.
Hold on, I gotta correct you.
Mm-hmm.
Sports is cool. I'm just don't watch it like you guys. You gotta put me on blast like that.
What team did Michael Vick play?
He played for the team in Philadelphia. Did he? Did he play for the team in Philadelphia?
Just damn. Yeah. Yes, he did play for the Eagles, but
there you go.
He started out with the Atlanta Falcons.
See, you didn't ask me that. You said what team?
I said what team did he play for?
Right, and I got it right. That's because I couldn't think of the Eagles. I knew he played.
It was a two-part question though, but it's all good. Anyway, so Michael Vick. Now, not to dig into his story too much because it's well documented. Matter of fact, they did an ESPN 30 for 30 called Vick. Check that out whenever you have the opportunity. And if you have the ESPN Plus app, which I'm not going to subscribe to because I have YouTube TV. But nevertheless, Michael Vick, a one-time sports mogul in the city of Atlanta. And from what my family who lives in Atlanta tells me, he was the guy. He was Atlanta, Georgia. And matter of fact, everybody embraced him because he came straight from Virginia. And they embraced him to the point where it's like, oh my, you're going to save the franchise and you're going to be the guy and you're this great athlete that can throw a football with ease. Now, here's the problem with everything here. Michael Vick was convicted of dog fighting and hosting a dog fighting ring, thanks to his partner
his cousin.
Yeah, who ain't shit.
It's man, family. Why family? I ain't gonna go there. Go ahead.
We ain't gonna do that.
We're not gonna go there.
Not in this episode, but no. And unfortunately, he got put in jail for 3.5 years, but able to redeem himself over time to where not only he got his money back, but also got his reputation back.
Right.
Now, let's also bring this into context. when he got convicted and got jailed, he had to pay back a lot of that signing bonus back to Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons at the time. And he signed, let's be real, he signed a 10-year, $120 million contract. Well, yeah, $12 million a year. I
got excited over that. That's what
of
I'm
course
talking
you
about.
did. Of course you did. But anyway, so Mike Vick had to pay back not only the signing bonus, but had attorney fees and everything else.
Right. And stuff that we don't know. And stuff that we don't know. Oh, and I have to say this too, right? I said stuff that we don't know. I have to say this too. So you're talking about the money that he had to pay back in contract and all those fees. See, that's another thing that people don't know behind the scenes is that a lot of these celebrities, they have assets, but you got to remember they need liquid. So that's why sometimes they have to sell off, some of their things because they have the assets and they need the liquids, and people need to understand that's very important. And yeah, I'm going to give y'all some financial education because, that's just me. That's just Lady K. That's what I do. I'm so into that. I really think it's so imperative and it's so important because, we all learn from our mistakes. We all learn about the stuff that we did wrong. And that's why we can do it correctly. And out of all the people that we talked about tonight, it seemed as if Michael Vick was able to get himself back in that spotlight and he came back 10 times harder.
But also, let me add this factor to it that a lot of people forgot. He filed for bankruptcy.
Absolutely. Well, hold on. See, it goes back to what I said. Rich people bankruptcy and broke people bankruptcy, two different things.
Well, let's be real. He had to pay back a lot of people, unfortunately. But I said afterwards,
that protects his assets. The bankruptcy that protects his assets.
Correct. But also look at it this way: when he came out of jail, a lot of teams would not touch him.
I know.
Like he was nuclear.
He had to prove himself.
I mean, he was poison. So the Eagles took them under a flat-based contract where you have to have incentive to just work at it. So, and when they did that, announced that the city of Philadelphia was on his ass. Was like, how can you kill dog? How can you support this dog killer? How can you support somebody who's just not humane? Yada, 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 yada. Now, I want to be honest with you, and I don't want no smoke with Peter. Humans have dominion over animals, and it's been that way since the beginning of time. So if y'all want, don't get me wrong. I love dogs. I really do
too.
I love dogs. I don't like, me being from the South, I knew about dog fighting. I never participated, nor did I attend a dog fighting or underground dog fighting ring, but I knew about it.
Right.
And matter of fact, people who lived in the South, that was, I don't want to say that's a normal occurrence, but they just knew that was something they did in the South. And from what I was told many times, Virginia is also part of the South. So guess what? They made an example out of him, maybe because he was a certain shade of pigment. And on top of that, he was also a sports mogul, getting $12 million a year.
Right.
So, not the long story less long. Michael Vick was able to redeem himself with the public and also revitalize his career. And then when it came for another contract, they really gave him a very good contract. He got his sponsorship with Nike back, even though he's not one of the premier athletes at one point, like he was in the beginning of his career. But he ended up getting his money. He ended up getting his money. He ended up getting his reputation back. He ended up getting his football career back. So that just goes to show, regardless of what cancel culture deem you as, you can bounce back from it.
You can't. I feel like you can, but I kind of feel like you need.
But it's going to take a lot of work.
No, you need the right juice. Okay, you need the right juice.
That reminds me. That reminds me.
Right there.
That also reminds me. You said something that reminded me of something. Okay, so you said earlier he had people need to have a publicist. Mike Vick had a publicist, and I can't think of her name, but she's based off the show that damn, what's the name of that show?
What show?
Olivia Pope.
Oh, Scandal?
Was it Scandal?
Yeah, Olivia Pope was from Scandal.
Okay, but yeah, it's based. She's the publicist that the show Scandal is based off of. I mean, they took some of her accolades and her mannerisms, but not the actual story where she's having an affair with whoever.
Oh, talking about Scandal, and because
that's tough, you know.
Right, and because we're talking about cancel culture, who was the gentleman named Orlando? What's his name? Orlando. I can't think of his name. He also too remember he was on that show, and then he got into a domestic violence altercation with his wife. Ooh, they
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name right now.
I can't think of his name.
I know who you're talking about. I know you're talking about. He was on Stomp the Yard and all that.
Right.
All that
so
stuff.
Even with him, he's on that B list too. He plays in those B list movies. And at one time, it just shows that he was on top. He was in everything. And because of that incident, and you know what? To a certain degree, I have to say this, right? Mm-hmm. You have to have a no tolerance. And that's what a lot of these big major company plays. They play like they don't have no tolerance. But then also, too, I kind of feel like they play favoritism, too. And
yeah, and when you say favoritism, let's also, and I'm glad you mentioned that because there's one more person I like to mention who was supposed to go to the Olympics. Sha'Carri Richardson.
Right.
Dallas native. Unfortunately, fastest woman was set to go to the Olympics. Unfortunately, she got caught testing positive for marijuana. Now, let's be honest with ourselves here, okay? Now, I'm getting in my political bag here.
Plant.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, number one, you're stationed in Oregon. You took the test in Oregon. And if I remember, the state of Oregon, as far as medicinal and recreational use, it is legal.
Right.
So why in the hell are you holding her responsible for something? One is organic, and two, it does not enhance your performance. You know what I'm saying? It's not like she was doing steroids. It's not like she was doing amphetamines or anything of that nature. And you automatically just stripped her just that quick. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Me personally, I don't look at celebrities as role models. But she went from here to here that quick.
I have to
cancel culture try to get her the hell up out of there. But we're not going to let them get her up, get her out of there that quickly. But what were you about to say?
I had to piggyback off something you said. See, just because you don't look at celebrity as role models, a lot of these organizations, they pick and choose who they want to partner with because they actually need them to portray them as a role model. Because you gotta think about it like this, right? You have kids that's up and coming, and they need someone to look to. So especially from a marketing purpose, these companies pick some of these top people so they can italize them. You hear me? Italize them as a role model because they understand what the generation that's coming forth, they need to zoom in on maybe a particular product or a particular service. But at the end of the day, if we just really want to be real, it's all about marketing. And
it is about marketing. But
that's how powerful marketing is. It is so powerful, and it just shows you right there it's much needed.
Yeah,
and it's never going to die out.
Let me say this about cancel culture, then we can go ahead and check out of this.
Okay.
Okay. So we all know that cancel culture it can be a good and bad thing. It can get the people that need to get the hell up out of here, but it also can demonize a lot of people who pretty much should have a second chance.
Right.
Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of people undeservingly get canceled because of one small mistake or something that's lacking judgment just one time. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people who we say in the entertainment business who got canceled. Roseanne O'Donnell got canceled. Kevin Spacey got canceled. So those are two examples. And I'm pretty sure there's plenty more examples coming after that. But nevertheless, we have to understand that when we look at cancel culture and we look as a whole, yes, it can be something that we can hold people accountable for, but let's not crucify them publicly because of a bad decision or a bad night or a lack of judgment. Because it's like, yeah, we understand that you make one false move, we can't trust you anymore. But then when you start doing stuff like that and it affects their livelihood, it affects their money, then that's when we have to really stop and think about, okay, why are we demonizing this person just for the simple fact that we don't approve what this person did, or we just don't flat ass like the person, you know? Right. So it's just like when we do weaponize our feelings towards media and that media use that to spin it to where that person is no longer relevant anymore, it's like, okay, what are we really doing here?
Right.
Are we getting rid of this person because of what we did? Or are we getting rid of this person because we don't like that person anymore because of what they did? Because let's be honest, just as much as I disapprove R. Kelly's actions, I don't want to see him in jail dealing with what he's dealing with. As much as I was kind of appalled by what
he knew what he was doing.
But he knew what he was doing, allegedly. And
allegedly.
He knew what he was doing, but I don't want to see another man like that because of his sickness get put in jail. Now, do I think somebody should have nipped this in the bud and just step on this before it really gets going? Yes, absolutely. But unfortunately, they were all under a payroll, and they all felt like they couldn't say what they really wanted to say. However, with that being said,
can I say this?
We really need to reevaluate who or the power we're giving cancel culture, because more times than enough, we're ruining careers when they don't even need to be ruined.
Right.
You know, especially in the African community, because we're already scrutinized enough. But then when we add that extra pressure on them to act right, and then we add that extra demonetization towards that person. This person worked all his life diligently to get to where he is, only to be taken away because he said something incorrectly, or he said something wrong, or he said something whereas we feel like we're offended. We should take away his talent and take away his money. I mean, it's like you're picking you're picking and choosing a sin where all of them should be used in the same light. You know what I'm saying? So what if Michael Vick was part of a dog fighting ring? So what if Isaiah Washington said a homophobic slur? So what if a lot of things happen in that? Now, these people made mistakes.
Right.
These people has made mistakes and they atone for it. We shouldn't continue to hold that against them simply because they made one mistake. Now, granted, some mistakes are a lot greater than others, but then again, you have to really think about what you're doing here.
And then I wanted to piggyback because, you stated about Isaiah and Michael, those are just like, not major big things, but when it came to Kelly and it came to Cosby, those are, that's like a bigger thing. So I understand that part.
I agree with you, because
I do have to say this, because you said, why throw them in jail, right? Because, of course, you did the crime, so you got to pay time.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I
No.
said.
Listen, just listen what I'm trying to say. Just listen to me real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I understand you were saying don't throw him in jail for that, because of that action
I didn't
he
say
made.
that. I didn't say that. I said I don't want to see them.
Right, you don't want him to see that. But I was gonna finish off and say this instead of throwing them in jail, or if you're going to throw them in jail, because just throwing them in jail, I don't think that's going to solve the problem. I think if you're going to put them in there, they also need to go through some psychological treatment. That's what I want to say. Because if you're just going to throw somebody in jail, now they're vicious and they're hideous, but still, even those type of people, they need to be evaluated, because, a lot of times they do studies on these people because they try to understand the mindset and try to understand, the behaviors, and that's needed, because sometimes we need those understanding.
Right.
Again, in those type of situations, I highly, highly believe that psychological evaluation and treatment should be implemented for those type of behaviors done in our community. And with that being said, I'm going to close out. But before I do, just as I stressed it in the beginning, I'm going to stress it now. I really think that a lot of us should get in the mindset of stop trying to buy useless things, because you never know what can happen in the future. You always want to prepare yourself. And this is why a lot of the millionaires and billionaires are in the position that they're in, because they put their money into things that's going to get them a return. And that's where we have to get into the mindset, because anything can happen at any given time, and people can cancel your ass too, just like they cancel those celebrities. So with that being said, thank you everyone for continuing to watching us here on the Lady K Chat podcast with Kay and Manny. And thank you for watching us every Saturday at 11 a.m. We really appreciate you. We appreciate you participating with us. And we also want to hear from you. So please tell us in the comments, what do you think? What did you disagree with? What did you agree with? And what do you think, some of these people, the punishment that they should get? And do you think some of the punishment is way too harsh for the incidents that were taking place, or the crime that was taking place? But continue to follow us here on the YouTube, IG, and all those other great, wonderful platforms I can't even think about right now. You can always visit our website at www.ladykenterprisesinc.com, where we are a financial service firm and we specialize in cryptocurrency, and we help you in a lot of different ways. We're all about building those assets. So everyone tune in next week at 11 a.m. on a Saturday, and we see you next time.
Have a good day.
Lady K.